In the kingdom of Persia, King Xerxes reigned over a vast empire. During a grand feast, he commanded Queen Vashti to display her beauty before his guests, but she refused. Enraged, the king deposed her, and a search for a new queen began. Esther, a young Jewish woman raised by her cousin Mordecai, was among those chosen for the search. Esther's beauty and wisdom caught the king's eye, and she became queen. However, Esther kept her Jewish identity a secret, following Mordecai's advice. Mordecai, a faithful servant at the palace, uncovered a plot to assassinate the king and informed Esther, who relayed the information. The conspirators were executed, and the king's life was spared, though Mordecai's deed went unrecognized at the time. Meanwhile, a man named Haman, the king's advisor, was promoted to a high position. He demanded that everyone bow to him, but Mordecai refused, honoring only God. Furious, Haman sought revenge not only on Mordecai, but on all the Jews in the kingdom. He convinced King Xerxes to issue an edict to destroy all Jews on a specific day, casting lots to determine the date of their destruction. When Mordecai learned of the decree, he sent word to Esther, urging her to go to the king and plead for the lives of her people. Esther hesitated, knowing that approaching the king uninvited could result in her death. Yet Mordecai reminded her that perhaps she had become queen for such a time as this, to save the Jews. Esther fasted and prayed for 3 days and then, with great courage, approached the king. He welcomed her and promised to grant her request, asking what she desired. Esther invited the king and Haman to a banquet, where she would reveal her petition. At the banquet, Esther again delayed revealing her request, inviting them to another feast the following day. Haman, though proud of his special treatment, grew increasingly angry when Mordecai refused to bow to him. His wife and friends suggested that he build a gallows to hang Mordecai. That night, the king could not sleep and ordered the royal records to be read to him. He discovered that Mordecai had previously saved his life, and he asked what had been done to honor him. Learning that nothing had been done, the king called for Haman to help decide how to honor a deserving man. Haman, thinking the king referred to him, suggested a lavish parade for the honored individual. But to his shock, the king instructed him to honor Mordecai in this way, and Haman had to lead the procession through the streets. On the second day of Esther's banquet, she revealed her identity to the king and pleaded for the lives of her people. King Xerxes was furious at Haman and ordered his execution on the very gallows Haman had prepared for Mordecai. Though the decree to destroy the Jews could not be undone, the king allowed Esther and Mordecai to issue a new decree permitting the Jews to defend themselves. On the appointed day, the Jews were victorious, and the day of destruction turned into a day of celebration. Esther's bravery and Mordecai's wisdom led to the salvation of the Jewish people. The festival of Purim was established to remember this great deliverance. Celebrated with joy and feasting, Esther's secret was not her beauty, but her unwavering trust in God. While her beauty took her to the palace, it was God's wisdom and guidance that kept her there. Esther's boldness and trusting God in uncertain times allowed her to make decisions that would ultimately save her people. In her heart, she knew that God had placed her for such a time as this, and it was His wisdom, not just her appearance, that truly led her to victory.